Good morning, everyone. Gypsy Rider here, and behind me in my garage you can see Gypsy right here in the corner. But right next to Gypsy, there is something else that I want to discuss today, and how I did what I did and why I did what I did. So stay tuned. Let's go for a ride and we'll talk about it. Okay, here we are again on the bike this time, and what I want to talk about today is a couple of changes that I've done. If you guys recall, if you have watched any of my previous videos, channel name is Gypsy Rider because I own a Vulcan 900 by the name of Gypsy. Well, after I bought Gypsy, I wanted a second bike, preferably something like a sport touring motorcycle, which I have owned previously. And I ended up buying Pearl, which was my 2014 Triumph Trophy SE 1200cc. Beautiful luxury touring motorcycle. It had all the bells and whistles on it, low mileage. It was a beautiful bike, fast. It rode beautifully. A couple of months, however, after I purchased Pearl, I started to notice something. So I'm in my 50s, and riding my Trophy, my sport touring motorcycle, which is set up completely different than a cruising motorcycle. I'm sure you guys are aware that your legs, your feet are kind of behind your knees when you're on a sport or sport touring bike. They're slightly behind your knees. You do sit very upright, and that part is very comfortable. But I started to notice that after hour and a half, couple hours on a bike, my knees started to hurt, especially my left knee. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe too long stationary on the bike, and so I would, take breaks and stuff, get back on. But once my knees started to hurt, it just wouldn't stop hurting. So turns out the position I was in on my sport touring bike was not very good for me. I guess I'm getting older. I've always had kind of a weak knee on the left side, but this one really started to hurt to the point where I can't really ride this motorcycle for any kind of distance. And the reason I bought the bike is to ride a distance, because it is a sport touring and I like to tour, and it is a touring motorcycle. So even though when I just go out for the day, I do go a little bit of a distance, I'm like, So before I bought Pearl, I had another motorcycle in mind that I've wanted to buy for a long time and never have. I've owned Vulcans before, motorcycles by Kawasaki. I had Vulcan Nomads Generation 1 and 3, I believe, and love those bikes. But Kawasaki also makes a full dresser, like a full bagger motorcycle, their Voyager 1700. And I was looking at that bike at the time I purchased Pearl, and I was comparing both of them. And I never ridden Voyager, but I always liked that bike. It looked good, the price was always good on it. But I ended up buying my sport touring bike instead, because I wanted to have two motorcycles in the garage one cruiser, which was my Gypsy, and then one sport touring, and thinking that's the way to go. And I have a little bit of you know, flexibility in changing just the way I feel that day, what I want to ride. But after the knee pain incident, I decided that, well, it doesn't make any sense to keep my sport touring bike, keep my trophy. So I'm like, okay, I put it up on Facebook Marketplace for sale. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to buy another bike, it has to be a cruiser, because I need to have my feet in front of my knees. I need to be stretched out more to give my knee the rest it needs while I'm riding. But the Voyagers are a little bit higher in price point if you want something a little bit newer, a little low miles, than I kind of could afford. And then I was like, well, if I buy a Voyager, if I look at Voyagers, I don't really need Gypsy anymore, my 900, because it's essentially the same bike, just much smaller. So I ran into a guy on Facebook Marketplace. He was selling his 2017 Voyager with like 5,500 miles on it. I'm like, wow, that's perfect year, very low miles. I'm gonna contact this guy. And I did. And I ended up test riding his motorcycle. We met up and I test rode it, and you know, knowing what I know about the Voyagers and you know, motorcycles in general, is that, you know, their factory settings, I mean, they run like they suck, unfortunately. You know, their EPA controls and all the things that they have to control out of the factory, those motorcycles just do not run good. They don't, you know, their throttle response sucks, power output sucks, you know, everything kind of just really sluggish, and you know, you kind of feel like that motorcycle is really holding back. It's not running freely. But I knew that, and I knew how to fix it, and I knew it cost a little bit of money to get it fixed. But I'm like, okay, I looked past that, and that motorcycle that I test rode was pretty much stock. You know, I didn't do anything to it, but it had everything else that I wanted. It was a great year. It was in excellent condition, and it had low miles. So I started talking to this guy, and turns out he was looking for a sport touring bike. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute here, my friend. So long story short, after going back and forth for a little while, and we finally agreed and decided to do an even swap, an even trade out. My Pearl, my Triumph Trophy, for this 2017 Kawasaki Voyager that I'm on right now. I was ecstatic. I was a happy camper, man, and it worked out perfectly. We met up, we did the paperwork. He was a happy guy. He got a really nice sport touring bike. I mean, it is a great bike, and I got exactly what I wanted. So I ended up, oh, I gotta make a left here. So I ended up trading the Voyager for my my Triumph, and didn't pay, cash-wise, didn't pay anything. We just did an even trade. It was beautiful. I mean, how rare is that you end up finding a guy on Facebook Marketplace that's looking for something that you have, and vice versa. It's probably happening all the time. I've never done it. So I think we were both happy. It was a win-win. So I got the Voyager, got it all at the DMV registered, which is also awesome because on the title you just put trade in. Didn't hardly cost me anything to do that. And first thing I did is I contacted Ivan. You guys know where I'm going with this. To get her Ivanized or get the ECU flashed, because that's what wakes up this bike. So I took out the ECU, I sent it to Ivan. He sent it back to me a couple days later, like 3 or 4 days later. I was back on the bike. I put the ECU back on, disconnected the O2 sensor, and let me get this guy out of the way here and say thank you very much for waiting for me. Wave to him. Thank you, sir. Put the ECU back, and my God, it is the motorcycle I always wanted. She is so responsive now. She rides like she should, and she is a completely different bike. So thank you to Mr. Ivan. You were a true gentleman on the phone, a true professional in performing the task that you said you were going to do, and you were super fast in doing it. He literally flashed the ECU the day he received it in the mail and mailed it back all on the same day. So, and stayed in touch with me. Called me, let me know every part of every step of everything that he was doing, and it was just a beautiful experience. And anybody is riding any kind of imported bike and you feel like your bike is just running sluggish, all I could say is get your ECU flashed, get it Ivanized, guys. It's a completely different motorcycle. So that's my story. So I am on my new bike, my new Voyager. I'm absolutely loving this bike. I love everything about this bike. I love the way she looks. I love the color of it. I love the instrumentation, the layout, the way everything is. I've done a couple of things to it. Obviously, I put a little cup holder on here. And the only thing that I've noticed getting on this bike is I felt a little cramped sitting on her with just the floorboards. I didn't feel like my legs or my feet had enough room to get into a really comfortable stretched out position, and that was such an easy fix. I ordered a nice pair of highway pegs that I mounted to the crash guard in the front, and I don't know if you can see them down here, but I can now just have my feet in a position that is just so comfortable. I couldn't ask for more. I have a backrest that came with the bike, and just couldn't be happier. So this morning I am on my way to my local Kawasaki dealer. Basically, it was also my Triumph dealer. He is a Kawasaki Triumph dealer, and I made an appointment at the service department to get this bike looked over. You know, I just never know what previous owner did or didn't do, and you know, he said he did all the things, but you know what, I'm not a mechanic. I just want to have it looked over this morning, have them check on everything, make sure the oil looks okay. If it doesn't, replace it. I've had the air filter out already. It may need a new one. I have them slap a new one in and just give it a good shop inspection to put my mind at ease that everything is a-okay. I am at, I think, just under 6,000 miles now. The next recommended service isn't due until 7,500 miles. So I just want to have it inspected, and then in 7,500 I'll take it back for a full service. Do I have to do it? No, but like I said, I'm not a mechanic. I want to know that everything is okay, which I don't have any belief that it isn't, because she rides beautifully. But again, just want to get it done. So that's where we are headed right now. Okay, we're getting here to the bike center. It should be here on the left someplace. Yep, it's right up here. Okay, they just took her back into the shop for a full inspection. Big shout out to Sky Powersports in Cocoa, Florida, for providing an excellent service on my new Gypsy. And as always, guys, I appreciate you tuning in, watching my videos, helping me grow little by little. If you haven't done so, I would really appreciate you go ahead and hit that little subscribe button, hit that little notification bell so you'll be notified of new videos that I try to put out every week. I also am on social media such as Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And until my next video, you guys be safe, stay safe, and as always, ride safe. Take care. Bye.